Hey, this is Chris Newton. I'm Head of Sales and Business Development at Influitive, and just want to thank everybody for joining us today. I want to talk a little bit about the silent killer in your sales pipeline and what's going on with that and how you can proactively take some actions to stop it, working in collaboration with your marketing team. As a quick starter here, let me talk about Influitive for a moment. We help B2B companies spark a movement with their fans and advocates to get their brands promoted through the voice of these really passionate people. Our business is built upon doing that with hundreds of organizations. The silent killer in your sales pipeline is what we're talking about today, and it's sort of a provocative title. Everybody knows that so much of the buying process happens well before salespersons are involved, and we talk a little bit about content marketing and how vendors can get content on their website and out there to help address some of that research phase that's going on. But the reality is this silent killer is fear. People that are scared to make a wrong decision. They're scared to buy a product that's not going to work the way they think it is, or that's not going to integrate with other things that they're using in their technology stack, or it's going to end up hurting their credibility, or maybe even hurting their career long term. And so the vendor generated content and things you put on your website may help answer some questions, but it can't get at the root of that fear. And what people are really seeking to overcome that is some confidence from trusted sources. This is usually people like them or people they know that have experience working with your solution, your products, and can help them feel a lot better about the decision they're about to make. And if I think back to the most recent significant purchase I made, it absolutely started by talking to a neighbor down the street about I'm thinking about solar power. It's pretty expensive to put that on your house, right? I'm thinking maybe that's something I want to look at. There's so much research online and things I can do to go after that. It's just not the same as talking to the guy that put it on his house last year and finding out how it's paid off and what's he seeing on the payback, and did the math really pencil out the way these sales guys tell you and all that. That's what we're talking about, and that's how you address what's going on in the sales pipeline. There's so many different ways that these fears can cost you, and you don't even see it happening because this is before you're in deep conversation. If you don't have enough presence in the places where people might be looking for information about your solution, they're not going to be able to find the information they want. If there's not third-party reviews out there, you're not participating in community discussion forums on the topic, if you're not active in events and at other places where these conversations are happening, it can really have an impact. And like we said, you as an organization, as a salesperson, will never know that any of this has happened because it all happens before you're ever contacted. This not only gets you in the consideration set, but gets you on the short list because your deal will be dead before it even started if you don't have the right kind of support from a trusted source in that early conversation. We see folks like Gartner doing research in this space, and these guys are as old school as it gets, and they talk about doing their deep analysis they're going to do. But more and more of what they do to decide on how to provide ratings and reviews and advice to their clients is based upon the things they hear from the customers of the organizations that they're talking to. And what they're hearing from those customers is not about those products, but the fact that internet and social media have made it so possible for these customers to gather information about what they're interested in, and they're looking for authenticity in the things that they're reading or learning about a particular solution, things that they're thinking about buying. And if things aren't authentic and those voices aren't credible and trustworthy, then it really doesn't help that organization, achieve what they're trying to do as far as, moving the ball forward on sales process. So which voices are trusted? It's absolutely, the people you would expect. It's peers. This is a report done by North America Consumer Technographics Group, and they were, in the benchmark study here, they talked to, almost 60,000 folks to find out how were they making purchase decisions. And these recommendations that came directly from friends and family were right at the top of the list, followed right by, online reviews that they're seeing on the web, from other trusted sources, both professionally written and consumer written reviews. Those are the voices that make a difference. And down at the bottom, of course, you can see the material that's provided by companies and brands directly. It's not that that's not good information. It's just, it's not as credible or trustworthy or as helpful to these buyers in overcoming the fears. So where are all the places where these things are happening? What is the brand presence that an organization has today? A lot of times, I think one of the best quotes around this, I think it came from Jeff Bezos, where he said, the brand is what someone says about you when you're not in the room. And, your brand is the reputation that precedes you. Your brand are the conversations that are happening in these places. And obviously these things happen one-on-one, face-to-face, where those interactions occur, but the web and today's technology has enabled that to spread far broader, and really enabled through, search and other things, enabled this to be something that is directly accessible to the people that are trying to get that information. So there's a whole range of review websites. We really like, G2 Crowd and GetApp and some others there. The opportunity for you to go to this site and see what people are saying, directly available. Each of these is going to vary depending upon the solution that you're selling. You want to ask your customers which review sites do they check out. Even Google your product or company name with the word reviews and see what comes up. That's what people are going to find when they're looking to your product, and that's where you need to proactively get engaged and have your fans and advocates, share their perspectives and the things that they've known. Also happens on social networks. One of the great, just announced last week, was an integration between LinkedIn and a couple of these review sites such as G2 Crowd, where when someone posts the review on G2 Crowd, they can click the next button that says, hey, share this on LinkedIn as well. And what that does is it means that the associates and connections of the person that just wrote that review are going to see it in their LinkedIn feed. They don't even have to go to the review site to check it out proactively. They're going to see that information come right across their desktop or mobile app, and they're going to have an appreciation for what's going on. So if it changes the dynamics of reviews from something that's requires someone to go to that destination to something that's actually pushed out to them, will come across their radar even if they weren't looking. We see blogs, both company-sponsored and third-party blogs. Analyst reports are places where these your brand is described, and of course these online communities, such as Quora and Spiceworks. Depending upon, again, your business, the value of different communities will vary quite a lot. But in the IT space, Spiceworks is a go-to location for folks, IT professionals, to learn about different solutions and what's working, and they can get technical support or really direct ratings of these different products. There are community-specific ones. So there's a small one in the InfoSec space called PeerList, another one for financial professionals and called Performative. You have to understand which are the elements, which are the places that are important to your brand and your company, and that's really where you're represented and the core. And so there's a mindset shift from companies trying to control their own brand to understanding that it lives and breathes in these many other locations, and it's really incumbent upon them to help drive and improve that presence where they can. So what can you do? Is it someone on the sales team that's trying to figure out how do you get ahead? Talk to your head of marketing and ask them, how are they going to mobilize an army of advocates that's going to support you through every stage of your sales deal? It begins with thinking proactively about this engagement, and from there you can run and do all kinds of things. Before running sales here, I was actually in prior career positions running marketing, and I was in this position where we were doing a lot of things to help drive lead generation and so forth, but until we took a real proactive approach to engaging advocates and asking for references and reviews and testimonials and all these things, we didn't see that step change in engagement and activity, and that's what you need to challenge that marketing leader to think about. By doing so, they can really help with referral leads. We all know referral leads are the best leads. Here's a great quote from Ken Krogh, the founder and president of Inside Sales, on how he's actually measured how much better these referral leads are. And they help not only with getting you on the short list, but they'll help you close the deal. They'll close faster, and they'll have a higher lifetime value, as a customer over time. Really important metrics to help drive success of your business growth. Not just referrals, but think about references. Not only in the traditional sense of references, where you introduce them late in the cycle just as a final check the box before they're going to purchase something, but get them involved early. On the left is kind of tiny type, but it's a really cool email that we had one of our advocates write to a prospect who was thinking about working with us, and she just says, "Hey, here's who I am and what I'm doing. I've had some great experience with Influitive, and this is a little my perspective. I understand you're checking out the solution, so if you have any questions, please let's connect, and I'm happy to chat about that." These kinds of things are very powerful, and kind of a one-to-one personalized outreach early in the process to help give that confidence and get someone over some of that fear. We've also done these on the right, the coffee time, where we'll have an advocate that we know join just kind of an interactive Google Hangout and have some other folks that happen to be targeted ABM prospects for us come on board. And it's kind of a one-to-many conversation. It's live. It's not scripted. They can ask whatever questions they want. It's very beneficial for the prospects to hear other prospects and hear the kind of things they're thinking about as they're working through this process. And they're getting very credible advice or perspectives from the advocate. And they can ask you everything from, what sort of, support requirements or turnaround on trouble tickets, or, how is this integrated with other solutions, or how has this impacted some of your basic business processes? And those are great feedback points that the advocates can provide. And by doing it in a one-to-many way, you're really magnifying the effect. But because it's live, you haven't lost any of that personal touch that makes this so credible. Everyone talks about social media as well as a likely thing. I love this example, is where someone just, was interested in us and put out there on Twitter, "Is anyone using Influitive and would like to vouch for them?" Great idea, just to test the advocate marketing company and see what would happen. Luckily, we passed with flying colors. We had a bunch of folks come on and share their experience and offer to connect with this guy directly, should he, be interested to learn a little bit more. This kind of real-time, real-world, very credible support goes a long way in helping us move the needle. I also want to talk about the online reputation. We talked about those social communities. We talked about the specific review sites, blogs, comments, everywhere, LinkedIn groups, everywhere people are talking about you online are places that you can nudge your advocates and ask them to engage and participate. Never tell them what to say. They're better if they figure it out on their own. You want that authentic, candid input on these places. But the things they say drives a ton of people, and we see this 84% statistic about it being a most trusted source of brand discovery. It drives these decisions. The numbers on the right are specifically generated based on a study done by G2 Crowd. The companies that have an advocate program, a proactive advocate program, are getting more reviews on their site. That's great. There, a lot of positive reviews, but it's good, authentic, candid feedback on these products. And the companies that have these more reviews are getting many more page views on their product profile. So because there's a higher predominance of content there, it's driving more views there. And G2 Crowd offers a service where they can provide leads to the vendors that are on the site, and they're seeing 200% higher lead exchange with those sites that have these proactive programs. So it's really important to get marketing out there, thinking about, these areas and others that the advocates can help you. So now let's just spin things a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about what's in it for the advocates and how you need to think about recognizing and rewarding the advocates for helping you. Why do the advocates do this? Why would they be willing to come on a webinar and just Google Hangout and just talk with people for a while about what they're doing? Why would they write an email? Why would they do an online review? There's a lot of reasons. They like what they're doing. You're helping advance their career, but we kind of categorize the incentives for them in these 4 categories around status. They get recognition from you. When I was at my prior role, we actually brought up some of our best advocates on stage, personally recognized by the CEO for the support they had provided at the annual user conference. That was huge. In a solution or product, you can have points, rewards, badges. There could be a leaderboard. There's things that set them apart: a special T-shirt, a hat, a badge, a pen, things that they get to wear at your event. Status is sort of provided by the support that they've done, and you're recognizing them in those ways. They get access. Because of the support, they know more people in your organization, people like them. They say, hey, I'm having trouble here. I'd love to talk to one of your support guys. They're not only going to get your support guy, they're going to get the best support guy. They maybe even get to talk to some of your services, professional services folks at no cost, or direct access to the product team or the executive team can be provided to these folks in ways they wouldn't have had before. They gain more power. Their voice carries more weight. If they are insisting upon, a certain prioritization for the product roadmap, they're going to be heard in ways that they wouldn't have, were they not as deeply engaged with the organization. Power is the ability to influence others to change and take different courses of action. And believe me, these advocates wield considerable power with the companies they're working with. And the last one I want to talk about is a sense of belonging. This is almost maybe hardest to understand or hardest to think about in some ways, but it's very powerful and could be even one of the most powerful of these 4. When you're working with an organization that's helping you advance your career and achieve your goals, you feel a natural affinity for that. And let me give you some examples of ways that you want to be part of that team, you want to be part of that group. And let me show you some examples of ways some of our clients have helped their advocates become more engaged and feel that sense of belonging. It's like human engagement at scale. On the left is a picture of MongoDB has a great solution. They have identified through their advocate program that there's a high predominance of Star Wars fans, and they have gone to the extent of handing out lightsabers and allowing people to decide, are they dark side of the Force or where do they fit, and they actually are given the lightsaber based upon the character they identify with, and as they bring them on site here at the local user group, it was allowed them to really feel that sense of belonging with the organization and in a unique way. On the right's a picture at Salesforce. This is a Trailhead DX event. They had an entire community of people wrapped up in the organization, much more highly engaged, provided that sense of belonging, and we're getting some great support from these folks. On the left is the CMO at Marketo. At every one of Marketo's user conferences, they take time to single out the champions that really support that business, and they have a special reception for them. And here's Sanjay standing on a table, talking to these folks about the contributions that they've made and how much the company recognizes and, appreciates the support they provided. This is another great example of access. Not many people at that event had this type of direct access to the CMO during that super busy conference. And finally, on the right, Data.com is one of the Salesforce solutions. It runs a great advocate program, and just some examples here of the types of things that they're doing, a welcome kit to new advocates to make them feel inclusive, asking them things about, hey, what's your favorite local coffee shop, and then finding ways to get gift cards and provide that in a personalized note as those go out. So if you can address and provide, a sense of status, access, power, belonging, you're going to motivate these advocates to engage, and you're going to get the type of support in the sales process that you're really eager to see. So let me just wrap up here with a few comments. You know, at Influitive, we really believe there's an advocacy imperative. The companies that activate their advocates with a real systematic approach are the ones that are going to see the true benefits here. And it requires a few things. An organizing principle, it has to be, this is not like one guy in the corner. This is something that's woven throughout the fabric of the company. It has to be deeply human, authentic, and personalized. It's not like mass emails to people. You're not inspired by that. You have to really have a human connection. And you've got to make this persistent across the different touch points of the organization. Wherever your advocates are, that's where you want to engage them. So I would say if you're looking to learn more about this, there's a couple great ways to do that. Talk to your marketing team. On the Influitive website, there's a great ebook that shares some of the ideas that I talked about how to talk to marketing about advocacy and stopping the silent killer in the pipeline. We've also got a series of events coming up in multiple cities: Toronto, Chicago, Seattle, Palo Alto, at the end of October, early November. Would love to have you participate in any of these. Just go to influitive.com/events and use the special promo code Sales Summit VIP to get a free pass to those events. Again, our company provides a great platform that allows you to do all of this at scale. But I would say, and we got great reviews and everything. We've done all the stuff that I'm talking about. But whether or not you choose to work with our platform or work with our company to do this, I really encourage you to think hard about how do you proactively reach out to your advocates and how do you engage them in a way that they can help you spark a movement behind your organization. Thanks for joining today, and look forward to continuing the dialogue with you offline.